Students, today we're going to talk about lesson 5.6, fit a line to data. So you will see, I know the picture is not the best one, but it comes from your textbook, and today we are going to talk about graphs that represent scatter plot, and you can see that there are three different types. So on the beginning of the notes, I'm going to ask you to write down this information. So let's switch, and we're going to focus on that information from my notes. First thing, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and write down the topic of the lesson, fit a line to data, scatter plot. The definition of scatter plot is a graph. So scatter plot stands for a graph used to determine whether there is a relationship between paired data. So if you have a graph and the scatter plots are all those plot points that go around in the graph, and when they stick together and you draw a line between them and they're kind of close to each other, you're having positive correlation. So the relationships between those points, it's called correlation. And if the line goes up, just like the slope, we know this is a positive correlation. So when x coordinate increase, y coordinate increase as well. In the second graph, you can see the correlation of the points are kind of going down. So if we are drawing a line exactly in the middle that goes through those points, we're going to have a negative correlation, which means when x increases, then y will decrease. And if you have just random points plotted all over the graph, not really having this relationship connections, it's what we call no correlation between the points. We can't tell if it's positive, negative, it's just there are points all over the graph. So this is the main thing. When we talk about scatter plots, we're going to talk about how to create those scatter plots, how to draw the line of fit, and also I'm going to show you how to write an equation for this particular line. So once you're done with those notes, you can move on and we will take a look of number 1. Remember, pause the video, take your time, finish what you need to finish, and then move on to the next part of the video. So question number 1. Draw a line of fit to the scatter plot. Tell the correlation type. So if we have this x and y coordinates and all those points, and I'm asking you, what will be the correlation? What will be your answer? Do you see no correlation? Do you see positive, negative? Well, I bet most of you already said positive, which is true. And the line of best fit will be the line that goes exactly in the middle between those points. And by the way, when you draw the line of fit, not just being in the middle, but kind of when you draw it, you want to have equal amount points on the above the line and below the line. Definitely my line would not be exactly like yours. They could be a slight change. For example, if I have 5 points on the top, you may have 6 or 4, which is pretty normal because this is it's not the best graph you can do, but this is how we draw a line of best fit. And this is what we call positive correlation. All right, great. Next one. So we have these relationships and correlations between the points, and they are kind of stick together going down. So if I draw a line, this is what my line of best fit it's gonna look like, and we will have a negative correlation. Okay, so this is when you have given those graphs, and you must be able to tell what do you see from the graph and can you name it if it's positive, negative, or no correlation. Next example, We have given table, and we're asked, using all the points from this table, plot them on the graph, and then draw a line to best fit, and finally write the equation. So those are the three things we have to do. And we will begin with make a scatter plot of the data. So each one of those are individual points with coordinates x and y. Okay? So I'm going to start plotting those points. First one, x is -3, y is 4. So when x is -3 and y is +4, my first point will be here. Next one, x is -2, y is 4, so my next point will be over here. Then I have -1 and 3, 0 and 3, 1 and 1, 2 for x, 0 for y, then 2 for x, -2 for y, 4 for x, -3 for y, and the last one, 5 for x, -2 for y. Okay, so those are the points. Well, absolutely, now we can tell that this is a negative correlation, and I'm gonna draw a line that goes kind of through the middle of those points. So it's going to be something like that. When you draw the line that goes through those points, next thing will be to write an equation. So how do we write an equation? Well, to write an equation, we will need to use point-slope form first, and then we're going to write the equation. We'll convert the equation into slope-intercept form because this is the main form that we're looking for the equation. In order to use this one, we will need one thing first. One thing will be the slope, and second thing will be a point. Definitely, to be able to tell what the slope is here, you need 2 points, and those 2 points must be points from the line. So it's very important not just to pick any point on the table, but the 2 points must be 2 points that are on the line. So I've seen one over here and one over here. We're going to use those 2 points. So this one was with coordinates x -1 and y coordinate is 3. Second point that I choose is with x 2 and y 0. And if you forget what are exactly the coordinates, kind of when you look at your graph and this shows -1, look at this points and see which coordinate has -1, then you will know what y coordinate is. And up here, this point has x2, so when x is 2 and it lays on x-axis, then y will be 0. So once you're done with the plots of the points and you have your line drawn of best fit, next step is to pick 2 points, write down the coordinates of these points, and I think after that it should be easy because my next step will be to find the slope, use point slope form, and write the equation. So let's go ahead and find the slope. M will be equal to 0 minus 3 over 2 minus -1. 0 minus 3 is -3, 2 minus -1 is just 3. -3 over 3 will give me -1. So the slope here is -1. To write this form of the equation, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, I need to use the slope in one point. So I choose point 2 and 0, and I'm going to get y minus 0 for y1 is equal to -1 times x minus 2. Well, y minus 0 is y equals, if you do distributive property here, which you're supposed to, -1 times x will be -1x, -1 times -2 will give you +2. You don't need to move any numbers, y minus 0 is y, so you already completed the equation for this scatter plot and line of data. So we're going to follow the same steps to work on next example. So let's do this one. You can try definitely on your own, but if you feel like, well, I'm not sure if I get it yet, then just follow me with the video. If you choose to try on your own, make sure you pause the video and do the practice example. So number 3, make a data, plot the points, draw a line, and write an equation. We'll start with the first point on the graph, -1 for x, -1 for y. That will be the location of the first point. Second point, we have 0 for x, 1 for y, which is this one. Then we have 1 for x, 2 for y, will be this one. Then we have 2 for x, 1 for y. And final one, we have 4 for x and 5 for y. Alright, well, if I have to draw my line, definitely I'm gonna go through those 2 points. It's pretty obvious. Those 2 points will be in the middle. Those 2 will be the 2 I am going to work with. And we're trying kind of equal amount to separate, a couple points on the top, 1 or 2 points on the bottom. It shows us we are on the right direction here. So once we're done with drawing and picking the points, next step is we want to write down the coordinates of this point. So first point was -1 and -1 for x and y. Second point has coordinates 1, 2, 3, 4 for x and 5 for y. We have the 2 points. Do you remember what do we need to do next? Yes, it is the slope. So m equals 5 minus -1 over 4 minus -1. 5 minus -1 is 6 over 4 minus -1 is 5. So the slope here will be 6/5. Next thing, let's pick a point. And I would say, how about we pick this one and substitute into this equation. So by minus 5 is equal to 6 over 5 x minus 4. Okay, next step will be distributive property. Y minus 5 is equal to 6/5 x, and 6 times -4 will be -24/5. Okay, so from here, in order to get from point slope to y-intercept form, the only thing we have to do is to move -5 to the other side of the equation. That way we will get y itself. So if I add 5 here, plus 5 here, and plus 5 to this improper fraction, those two cancel, and what is left will be y equals, we copy 6 over 5x, and the only thing now we need to calculate is this. What is -24/5 plus 5? Well, definitely I'm going to use the calculator, and I will just type here -24 divided by 5, and then plus 5. This will give me 0.2, so I'll say plus 0.2, and we'll end the equation. So when you are working with improper fractions and fractions like this, that it's kind of hard to simplify our work to, definitely use the calculator. The calculator will do the job for you, and you can write down y-intercept as a decimal number. That is perfectly fine. With this, we are done with the problem. Next example. Following exactly the same steps. We're going to make the data plot, describe the correlation, and we'll write an equation. So -3 for x, +1 for y, 1, 2, -3 for x, +1 for y. That will be the first point. -2 for x and -1 for y will be my second point here. -1 for x and 0, that will be the next point. Then we have 0 and -2, which is right here. 1 and -4 for y will be over here, and 2 for x, -5, it's gonna be down here. 2 points. If I looked my graph, I would say my graph will cross through maybe those 2 points. Those two. because we need kind of those 2 points. Okay, so we have one, could be, actually I will change that. I will draw the line between this one and this one. Yep, like this. Okay, because now we're gonna have 2 points on the top and 2 points on the bottom, so we will have an equal amount of points all above the line and below the line. So this is the first point, this is the second point that I will use to work on the equation of the line of best fit. So this point, my first point, has coordinates of -3 and 1, and second point that I picked will be this one, which is +1 and -4. +1 for x and -4 for y. Awesome. Okay, so the slope of this will be -4 minus 1 over 1 minus -3. -4 minus 1 is -5 over 4. That's the slope. It doesn't matter which point. Let's pick the first one this time. So substituting right here for x1 and y1 those coordinates, and we're gonna have y minus 1 is equal to -5 over 4 times x plus 3. I wrote plus 3 because negative sign here and the negative sign from the formula, it gives me +3 in my equation. So next step will be to apply distributive property here. Y minus 1 is equal to -5 over 4x. -5 over 4 times 3 will give you -15 over 4. Some of you probably, if you're using calculator, you may have a decimal number here, which is perfectly fine. From here, the last step will be just to add 1 plus 1 to those two cancel, so y will be equal. We copy the slope, -5 over 4x, and use the calculator again. So if I have -15 divided by 4, which is -3.75, so if you have this as a decimal, you should have this answer already, and then we're adding 1 plus 1 is equal to -2.75. So the equation for this line of this example, the line of best fit, will be y is equal -5 over 4x minus 2.75 will be the answer. Alright, well, we're gonna keep practicing. It's repeating of the same steps over and over again. This is the whole idea of this lesson with the line of best fit and how to write the equation. So we're gonna do one more and then you will start practice on your own. Absolutely is okay if you want to try this now without watching the video. I think that will be the best strategy. Just try on your own and pause the video and come back to see if you get an equation as what I have here. So make a data, and the data here has a few little larger numbers, so I will kind of guess or will try to predict where this could be. So if x is 1, then y is 9, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so I will assume that 9 for y will be somewhere here. Then we have 2 for x and 7 for y, which will be right here. Then we have 2 and 6, which will be right here. Then we have 3 and 4. Then we have 3 and 3. Then we have 4 and 3. Then we have 4 and 2. And then we have 5 and 1. So look at all those points. Oh my gosh, but they correlate pretty well together. Definitely, if I am asking you what is the correlation, describe the correlation, what will be your answer? Positive, negative, or no correlation? Well, definitely, if you draw the best fit line, you will see that there's negative correlation, and you will be absolutely right. So let's see how we can draw this line of best fit so we can get kind of maybe equal amount of points. I would say something like here. So if I draw the line that goes through those points up here, I think that will be the line of best fit. I have 1 point here, 1 down here, 1 over here, 1 down here, 1 here. Okay, that works. So this point and this point will be the 2 points that I'm going to use to calculate and write down the equation of the line. So coordinates of this point, 2, 4, 6, 7, so that was x is 2 and y is 7, so that actually is my first point. Then the next point was this one, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4 for x and 2 for y, so this will be the second point of my line of best fit. Okay, so we're good with this. Now we're gonna calculate the slope. M equals 2 minus 7 over 2 minus 4 minus 2. So 2 minus 7 is negative 5, 4 minus 2 is 2, negative 5 over 2 will be the slope. Next thing, we're using this equation, and I'm gonna pick this point and I'm gonna write down y minus 2, y1 is 2, equals to negative 5 over 2 for the slope times x minus x1 is 4. Okay, well, distributive property here, y minus 2 is equal to negative 5 over 2x. And again, let's do that. So I just want to show you, if you write negative 5 divided by 2 times negative 4, you will get the answer is positive 10 plus 10. Okay, so negative 5 over 2 times negative 4 is positive 10. Last step will be to plus 2 on each side. Those two cancel, so y equation is negative 5 over 2x, 10 plus 2 is positive 12. And with this, we're done with the problem. So, as a summary, today's lesson was about scatter plot, plotting some points into our data. You know, the table is the data that we have given so many different points. Once you plot the points, then you can tell what type of correlation we have. And remember, always make sure the correlation between the points has a kind of relationships that they stick together and they go together in the same direction, being positive or negative. If you have this points all over the graph or the coordinate plan that doesn't really show you the direction of it, it means there is no correlation. So as a day one, your practice will be mainly focused on that and maybe plotting some points. Then day two or the following of this lesson will be when you have given examples and you have given data, and your job will be to draw this coordinate plan, plot all the points into the data, draw the line of best fit, and once you have the line of best fit, then you have to pick 2 points that are on the line, exactly on the line. You're gonna write the coordinates of those 2 points, and you're gonna use point slope form equation as a start. So when you are thinking about this equation, you will need the slope between those 2 points. You're going to calculate the slope. Next thing will be you're going to apply the slope and the coordinates of one of the points. Always pick one of them. You don't need both. One of them into the formula. You will calculate the equation to get slope intercept form of the line. That will be the final solution of the example. So I'm hoping really this video helps you. I will be around to answer questions. You can definitely rewatch the video as many times you need to follow my steps. Thank you for watching, and let me know if you have questions.